Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. This episode of Slam the Gavel is sponsored by CPS Protect Consulting Services. A child protective services case is one of the most frightening experiences for any parent. Don't face it alone. Face it with confidence with Urgent Assist by CPS Protect. You can have access to former CPS investigators to make sure you preserve your rights and protect your family. If you're facing CPS involvement and aren't sure where to turn, their child welfare consultants can help you. Visit cpsprotect.com/subscribe and enter the coupon code Slam the Gavel for 60% off your first year of Urgent Assist. And this is available in all 50 states. I have another announcement. Bradley's mother, Narcus Golan, passed away in the fall of 2022. Bradley is autistic and needs structured routine and therapies he receives for his autism 6 days a week. However, Italy just entrusted Bradley to the Italian Social Services. If he is ruled to go back, he will then face the next 3 to 4 years in the Italian foster care system where he can't speak or understand the language. He will then be taken away from the only family he has ever known, and we have Judge Ann Donnelly to thank for that. Please call Governor Hochul at 518-474-8390. That's Governor Hochul, 518-474-8390 to please keep Bradley here safe in these United States. Hashtag keep Bradley safe. And one more announcement. Go to the site, pleasedoyourjob.com. We need 2,700 more signatures to get a case reopened. That's pleasedoyourjob.com. Last announcement, you are all invited to the Interference with Child Custody Coalition Custodial Interference Press Conference on October 31st, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. at the PA State Capitol at Harrisburg, PA in the main rotunda stairs. And we hope to see everyone there. And I have a brand new guest here. I have Phillip Simon on. He is a veteran and he has served his country in both the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Army, veteran serving OEF and OIF, and for his efforts, he received a Bronze Star. However, this veteran also has sustained injuries from those efforts that have left him with permanent disabled and suffering with PTSD 100%, and he doesn't have a criminal record. The San Diego County Superior Court continues to be prejudiced and biased against this veteran, and all this veteran's attempts to find a resolve to end his unnecessary high divorce conflict case. Family law made this veteran his house #1 issue needing to be addressed in the veteran's divorce dissolution. For almost 3 years, the Superior Court has fought against the veteran keeping his case, house, or property falsely within their jurisdiction when it has clearly been proven by federal laws, statutes, and official court transcripts that it is not. And I've heard of a lot of these things happening. And I welcome you, Phillip Simon. And I totally thank you
Yes,
for
thank you.
serving. And I'm sorry you're going through this.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. How long has this been going on?
Almost 3 years. We're right at the 3-year mark. We're approaching the 3-year mark.
When all this started, it just, everyone calls it a high conflict divorce case, but how did it all evolve?
Well, it was supposed to be a simple, I guess, divorce, but because there's a high value house involved in it, other factors, other players wanted to get involved. It was a divorce that started between, my wife. She initiated divorce. At that point, it was discovered that, I found out that California is community property. I told everybody the only problem is in my situation as a veteran, I didn't use community property funds to purchase the house. And the family court, I guess, felt different. And for a long time, they just didn't address it. They ignored me. They would, make counter arguments to what I was saying. And then, long story short, finally at the end, about a week ago, I get a statement of decision from the judge, basically telling me that, I'm going to lose everything. She's going to bankrupt me. The house is not the house. She basically agrees with me by saying the house is not community property. However, she said it doesn't pertained to me because I retired from the military. Mind you, I only did 11 years in the military. And so basically, she gave me a retirement that I actually didn't deserve, only to try and keep me from ending what became a 3-year issue in the family court that should have been within the civil court.
So you purchased the house with the veterans loan or something?
Yes, I used the VA loan to purchase the house, and I purchased the house with a third party, a person who I was not married to. It was an investment property. We purchased the house in 2018, and it just so happened that that person, took the side of my wife and wanted to make things difficult and complicated. Basically, they wanted to separate me from my veterans benefit, and it seemed like the court was all too happy with helping them to do that. And here we are, still fighting 3 years in, and we haven't even gotten to the custody. We haven't even gotten to the divorce yet.
So this judge is dividing something that you purchased through the VA loan and calling
Correct.
it community property. Is she crazy?
Uh, I think so. At this point, we're in the San Diego area, and San Diego area has the highest concentration of military presence in the entire world. So for a judge to have been practicing so-called over 30 years, and you don't have the basic understanding of just, military, property rights, things of that nature, when, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of military people divorcing, for her not to understand that and to wait 3 years. Because honestly, if they really thought that was the truth, then they would have not waited 3 years. They would have done this 3 years ago and had me removed from the property a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
If they really believed that I had retired, if they believed that was the thing that was, that they were going to win by.
You served 11 years there and you've got a Bronze Star, and this is how they're treating you.
Yeah, I don't think the courts are concerned with any of that. I think,
No.
it's supposed to be about the kids. And I have three children
Mm-hmm.
who was living in the middle of this whole situation. And the problem with it is the mother had a kick out order on the 31st of August 2021. I'm sorry, she had the 31st of July, or the 29th of July. She had a kick out order in July of 2021. The judge let them back in the house with DVROs. A month later after that, the judge then gave me a DVRO that doesn't even exist in the family law code. She gave me a DVRO for conspiracy and solicitation. It doesn't even exist. And when I went to the court to try to address it, to get it heard through a judge or jury, the court would schedule it. And then when we would get to that date to hear it, they would tell me it was out of the jurisdiction for them to hear it, and they would have to reschedule it. And then they would reschedule it. And then when we would get to that date, they would tell me it's out of their jurisdiction to rehear it, and then they would reschedule it. We did that like 3 or 4 times. Finally, I did an appeal. The appeal was denied. I did 2 writs. Both the writs were denied. I finally had to start a federal case. I had to sue the San Diego system because of what they were doing in my family law case.
That's terrible.
All the while this is happening, I have 3 little girls living between 2 parents with DVROs in the same house. We're literally a social experiment for the San Diego County.
So you're still living in that house with them?
Correct.
With a DVRO?
Correct. That doesn't exist.
Oh.
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm still in the house. I know many ask, well, why don't you just move? Why don't you just leave? Well, the main reason is because my babies are still here. My 3 little girls still live here. Another reason is they gave me a DVRO. You can't rent when you have a DVRO. You can't purchase a house when you have a DVRO. Certain things that you can't do when you have that attached to your name. Another thing is my benefits are tethered to the house. So until the house is sold and or refinanced, I'm stuck in this situation. I've been trying to get them to sell the house for 3 years. They told me to go kick rocks. For 3 years, I've been trying to get them to sell the house. They've been telling me they were going to refinance the house for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And just the last court hearing, they said that I'm trying to stop them from refinancing in April. And I was like, how? I've been trying to get you to refinance. It takes 15 minutes to refinance. I've been trying to get you to do that for 3 years. How many 15 minutes can you put in 3 years? And now they're trying to say that I'm stopping them from refinancing. But the problem is my VA benefit, it keeps the house at a really, really low rate. We have 2.25 in
Mm-hmm.
California, where the interest rate is at 8% right now.
Right.
So I'm helping them by not having to spend thousands of dollars on the rent. And they recognize that. That's why they haven't refinanced the house yet. That's why they haven't sold the house yet. And the court is allowing them to get away with this. When it's not even under the court's, the house is not even under the court's jurisdiction. They joined a woman to my marriage who I didn't even marry. They joined her to the divorce, rather. And my attorneys at the time did it without my permission. So I had to fire my attorneys.
Oh
And
yeah.
now I'm suing them right now as well. I have technically 5 lawsuits going on right now. All 5 of the lawsuits are a derivative of my family law case that starts from my family law case. I have a federal law case, and I have 3 other three other civil law cases that are all based off my family law case. This one family law case. If this didn't exist, I wouldn't have none of these other cases.
Well, to make you go through this is a waste of taxpayer dollars.
It is fraud, waste, and abuse.
Exactly. The fraud is just the frivolous litigation for 3 years is ridiculous to put you through this.
And it honestly, I don't think they being the San Diego County government really cares. They're not even acknowledging the federal lawsuit that I have against them, making them adversaries. I am an adversary of the San Diego County government right now, and they're still trying to have trials with me in their trials. And then they're pounding me. They're literally killing me in all their trials. They're ignoring all my motions. None of my stuff is getting through. Simple things that would easily correct this. I asked to get a professional 730 evaluator involved in this case, and everybody denied it. Only for the judge to do her own math and her own number crunching, where her orders have me coming out. If her orders are allowed to stand, I will be bankrupt. I will have to file for bankruptcy because I get nothing. She literally says I owe negative out of a house that I went 50-50 on with another individual.
She should be off the bench like yesterday.
She's and this particular judge, she's in San Diego. She's what they call on the wheel. So basically, when I have 2 judges in this one family law case, and the first judge, she was basically like saying, well, at the time it was a he. He was like, and I don't know if you mind giving judges names. I have no problem with dropping names.
I don't mind. It's all public.
Okay, so Judge Woods, he was the original judge. He was the judge who kind of orchestrated this whole craziness. He was the one who asked, how long would it take to hear this case? The opposing counsel said it was going to take 5 days. Soon as he heard it, he banged his gavel and said, it's going on the wheel. It's going on the wheel. It's not in this court no more. It's going to go on the wheel. And mind you, I have transcripts of every hearing that I've been in. Every hearing is, you can actually go to the local sheriff department and have them download a copy of audio and video of all your hearings. People don't know this. A lot of people don't know that. And that's the thing that they can do for you. So it's not like they can prove against anything that I'm saying. All of this is recorded, audio and video. And literally he said it's going downtown on the wheel. So I'm in North County, San Diego. He brought the case to a second judge downtown in San Diego. This judge is the judge who basically stretched the time out. She was giving him continuance after continuance. I was telling the judge for a long time, they can't afford to buy me out. If they could, they would have done it a long time ago. She kept telling me that, she just kept buying them time. So finally, I filed my federal lawsuit and I let her know that she was named in it. And she denied me and said I wasn't. So the next day I actually brought the lawsuit and showed it to her. I gave her the actual code, the case number, the federal case number. And her clerk just kind of was like, well, this doesn't pertain to us. We're not, this is not but it's crazy she's saying that when she's being represented by somebody. This is the worst part about it. There's actual information that I need from the San Diego County Judicial Board system through their records. I requested it. They denied it to me because they said I was an adversary in a case against them. However, they're still trying to have their case against me. So they won't give me information that I need to prove my case against them. But their judges are advocating, or at least trying to make it seem like they're not even aware that there's cases going on with them being involved.
So she's acting unaware that this is happening. She's just putting
Yes,
on this little show.
everybody is, because I named some of the opposing attorneys in this case. It is a 60D3 fraud upon the court case that I have against San Diego County, and it's for fraud. And a case like this, like mine, doesn't exist unless there's fraud and corruption going on. Cases like this just don't last for 3 years unless there's somebody guiding and managing the case to be like this. And that's literally what is taking place right now. And it's unfortunate because I'm one veteran who knows how many other veterans that came across a situation like this, but just wasn't in the unique situation to do what I'm doing right now, to fight it for as long as I'm able to fight it. And they had to turn away and go somewhere else or just give up. But it's things that the court system don't want you to know. Things that they hide, like their organizational structure, how they're put together. Who really runs the courts? Not the judges, like a lot of people think. They have a big part to play. It's the clerks and the bailiffs. It's the people that stay there year in and year out. People don't understand this, but a military person would understand this if they knew to start looking for this. But they get railroaded so fast that they don't even get a chance to be where I'm at right now. And fortunately for me, I'm at a point where they didn't know what I used to do in the military. So this was right up my alley by them trying to deny me, because it just gave me something to do, gave me a little purpose, so that I'm able to help my other, fellow veterans out there that is going through things like this, because, they're unaware of their benefits and how their benefits might be attacked right now. And for 3 years, the courts were attacking my benefits. They were literally trying to say that my benefits were not community property. But then in the final orders, she agrees and say, broadly speaking, they are, but not for you because you retired. And mind you, for 3 years, they didn't even bring up a retirement. They didn't talk about that never came up. She did tentative orders. And in her tentative orders, she never mentioned anything about a retirement. Had she would have, I could have corrected it. I could have got it straight for her right then. Therefore, her final orders would have been legit. But she didn't mention nothing about retirement in her tentative orders. I objected to her the tentative orders using the information that she asked me specifically to provide to her, which was my VA award letter, which lets you know that I didn't retire, which was a full tracing and non-commingling of all my funds. I showed her a full tracing of all the checks that I've used, everything that she asked for. I sent that to her. And she told me if I didn't use it, then that mean it wasn't necessary for me to use in my decision. And then I get the final orders, and buried deep within the orders, way in the sandwich in between the orders, is but veteran retired and opted to have a portion of his benefits. And none of that is true. I didn't retire. I wish I would have. That's an honor that I did. I have friends that are able to retire now, and I knew people that did retire, and that's an honor that they put in their time. I didn't do that, and so that's an argument that they had, that the court system now has with the United States Army, because that's 10 years of retirement check. I got out in 2013. That's 10 years of retirement checks that I'm missing. That puts me a little over $1 million some. So that's another grave, gross example of fraud, waste, and abuse of our taxpayer money and dollars. If you're going to consider that the San Diego County is not even paying attention to right now, which is making that simple mistake that honestly I addressed with the very first attorney I've ever had. I told him what the situation was. He didn't want to believe it. He wanted to, he was, no, California's community state, you'll never win that argument. Well, last time I checked, the federal government statute was higher than the federal state government. So maybe if you looked into the argument and tried to argue for me instead of against me, I could win the argument. So that's what ended up happening with all my attorneys. All my attorneys, like I said, they manufactured this. They joined another person to the marriage. A joinder in a family law marriage is not normally necessary unless you're dealing with custody of kids and there's kids involved. And you have like an aunt or uncle or a grandparent fighting for custody. That would be proper in a family law marriage to join somebody. But what we have right now is they join this individual because of a house, because she and I was on the deed of a house together. They said she needs to join my divorce. Honestly, that's like a quasi bigotry kind of a situation, because I didn't marry this person, but now you're trying, I should be able to get spousal support from this person. I've been divorced. I never married this person, and I'm divorcing this person for just as long as I've been divorcing my wife, the person I'm actually supposed to be getting divorced to.
Oh my God, this is so, I've never heard, I totally believe you, because I've heard crazy things like this happening.
It's amazing that and it's not, and the problem is it's not like it hasn't been happening, because everybody is aware. The minors councils are aware right now. Everybody told me that I should leave. My attorneys told me that I should leave the house. I fired them. Why would I leave my house that I'm a 50% owner in? Why wouldn't you force her to sell the house? For 3 years, I was the only one pretty much screaming, hey, you guys need to sell the house. We need to sell the house. The interest rate is going up. It's 8% in California.
Right.
At the time, it wasn't even close to 8%. We needed to sell the house.
That's when they should have done it.
They was like, nope, we're not selling the house. You're gonna get you. Basically, they just tried to act like that all the work that I brought to this whole situation didn't exist. And literally, it's the reason why the judge made in her orders that she gave them 120 days to refinance the house, or they're going to have to sell the house. I'm like, why are you giving them another 120 days on top of 3 years? Not only that, they're not going to be able to refinance the house, because the mechanism that's keeping us in the house right now is my benefit that is 2.25 that will be released and coming to me. They're not going to get that same benefit, and it's just not going to happen. And you're going to have to sell the house. But the problem is the judge, because my 2 attorneys, they put liens on the house. So these are 2 attorneys that were supposed to be helping me win my divorce situation. Not even a month after firing them, because of the neglect, the malpractice, everything they were doing to me, they come with lawsuits. Well, I do a loss. They come with, they put liens on my house in the amount of $150,000, which forced me to put them, bring them to a lawsuit. So now I got a lawsuit against them, and they're doing all kind of funny stuff, and the court is kind of allowing them to do it. They're switching out attorneys. They got multiple attorneys. Mind you, I'm just one person, a pro per litigant that's been fighting since September of 2022. That's when I fired all my attorneys. And from that time, I've been representing myself with the help of some people that know a little something here, paralegals and things of that nature. I've been kind of managing this thing by myself. 5 different cases that are all derivative of the one family law case that shouldn't even exist, because like I told everybody, VA disability is not community property. It was always 50-50 between me and the third party. Even the civil courts recognize that, because what the civil courts did, they put a stay on the matter till January of 2024. And in their stay, they said my soon-to-be ex-wife and her partner, the third party, didn't prove enough to show that they should actually be within the jurisdiction of the family court. But they don't want to step on the family court's toes, so they're going to just stay out of it until the family court makes a decision. But they clearly said that they belong in the civil court. So why is the family court judge who in March, so this is another silly thing that happened. In March of this year, we had a hearing where the opposing counsel basically told the judge that her client didn't have any percentage in the house. She said, "We're not arguing the house, Your Honor." Her counsel at the time said, "We're not arguing the house, Your Honor. The house is between him and the other party." The judge recognized it. And I said, "Your Honor, so you mean to tell me you're still moving forward?" She was like, "Yes." I was like, "Technically, this is out your jurisdiction now. If the house is not part of it, the house is a civil matter. The only thing that's in your jurisdiction for this case is just the divorce and the custody of the kids. Why are you keeping the house a central figure in this whole thing?" And at that point, she was like, "I can do what I want. I'm the judge. This is my courthouse. You're not going to tell me such and such and such." So I get judges have a high discretion of what they can say in their courtroom. I'm not even going to argue that. I've been in enough courtrooms now to know a judge can tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the final ruling has to come from the statement of decision. And what is the statement of decision? It is basically the document that tells you how the judge is able to make whatever they're saying back with legalities. What is the law that's giving them the power to stand on to make this judgment? And most times when they know you're asking for a statement of decision, they know you're asking that, or you're signaling to them a message saying, you're going to probably appeal this because you know they're doing some felonious stuff. And they don't like that. So they treat you a certain kind of way when you do that. But when you look at all the statement of decisions that I've ever received in this entire case, none of it is really backed by law. It's just my discretion. And now you go fight it at the appellate level. Oh, by the way, we're not going to give you a lot of information on how to do that. You got to go find the information on how to do that by yourself. So I had to go do that. Luckily for me, I was trained to do such things like that. So it wasn't a hard thing for me to do. I found the information. I started the appeal. I got an appeal. I have an appeal going right now. I have a hearing set for the 3rd of November where they're trying to do an exclusive use, where they're trying to kick me out of the house through what they call the Domestic Violence Protection Act. And it really gives them, according to these individuals, they can do it. They can kick me out if they can connect it to a domestic violence thing. Mind you, how do you even bring that up when you have two people living in a house with a DVRO? Crazy thing is, I'm not the individual that has violated my DVRO. My soon-to-be ex-wife has violated her thing several times. I have over 13 incident numbers with the calls back to police department, the sheriff's department, and now the San Diego County Police, and now the U.S. Postal Inspectors with her violating her DVRO against me. So if anybody's violated, it was her. Remember, she was the one that was originally kicked out, and the judge let them back in 5 days later, which is all this is unusual behavior. We literally had a kick out order on a Friday. That very next Tuesday, we had court, and the judge he dropped one of the restraining orders on one of the individuals, 3 individuals. He dropped one of the restraining orders. He kept two restraining orders on the other 2. He allowed all 3 of them back into the house. So right there was a problem. At what state, anywhere, if you get a restraining order and you get kicked out, they let you back in the house 5 days later?
So was this the male judge that let you back in the house?
Yes, let them back in the house. Yes,
Sorry.
Yeah, yes, he let them back in the house like 5 days later. That very next Tuesday, he said, "Well, and I don't. It's not a lot that I give credit to my attorneys for, because they were not very good at all, and I got a lot of worse names that I can call them. But I will give a credit where they tried to argue against that. They tried to tell the judge, "Hey, that's not a good idea. We don't think that you should do that." And the judge was like, basically, "I'm running the show here. I'm going to let the ladies back into the house." And then a month later, you give me a DVRO that doesn't even exist. There's no DVRO for conspiracy and solicitation. I have no police record of ever doing any harm to her, any harm to anybody, in regard into this whole situation. I knew I could never be that person because I do have PTSD. And they do like to use that as a weapon against me. And I get that. I got veteran friends, other veteran friends that go through this with their families. This is a thing that happens. Well, I can, you're crazy. I can draw you out to be the monster and all that kind of stuff. That's not the case in this situation. It was a reason why that judge even sign a kick out order to begin with. Obviously, he must have saw enough there to even sign it to begin with. To do a kick out order of 3 women and restraining order on 3 women. And then it's like somebody got to him and he just said, you know what, I'm relaxing everything and I'm going to make sure it goes their way the rest of the way through. And that's the way it's been going all the way to where in her ruling, she says the third party gets 50%, I get 25%, the other person gets 25%. And the way she did her number breakdown is $780,000 go to the person getting 50%, $81,000 go to the other person getting 25%, and I owe negative. How does that math work out? I have no clue. To me, that math is not really mathing, but that's what the judge came out with. And if she allows that to go through, which I really think she's probably going to do because I did an ex parte to get back in front of her, and she basically denied me. She said, she was like, this is not important enough. I was like, ma'am, you basically said I retired and I didn't retire. Then she said, oh, you didn't understand the orders. I didn't understand the orders. I think I know when somebody said I retired, and I think I know how to read, first of all, and I think I know what I read. I understood the orders well. You tried to say that I retired. And basically, I got what she was doing. She was trying to say, I'm not going to talk about this now at this time. But I get it. An ex parte is for emergencies, but it's also for time shortening things as well. And that's why we did it, to shorten the time, because you're trying to hurry up and have an exclusive use where you could try and kick me out the house before you have to hear my reconsideration motion for you to change your mind of hearing that I didn't retire. Because this is not a discretionary issue. It's black and white. You either retired or you didn't. You take any average person off the street walking right now, and if they're of age and you ask them, hey, did you retire? Did you retire? They're not going to be like, I don't know if I retired or not. Let me figure it out. Let me make some calls to see if I retired. You're going to know if you did a thing or not. And she knows I didn't retire. The fact that you brought it up in the 12th hour, I know I didn't retire, but you needed something to make your order stick. And if she's allowed to make these orders stick, then I'm going to be bankrupt. And my girls are going to come out way worse because they're going to be living in a situation where their mother is willing to put them through anything. I honestly, at one point, I would have said that, we need to try to parent together. We need to focus on parenting together. We need to get past our problems. But it's clear that you're making it is not our problems. It's your problem with me. You don't want to parent with me. I did the court sent me to the parenting thing. I did that. I have no problem with parenting. I tried to parent from day one after we, our supposed separation or our separation. I've been trying to co-parent, but you can't co-parent with a person who is physically trying to engage war to have you moved out the house. It's hard you can't really, it ain't a lot of co-parenting that you can do. And mind you, every day that the authorities ever came out because of a domestic violation, it was always on my parental day. We have parental days. So the court gave us, I have every Sunday through Wednesday morning with the girls and every other Saturday. And then she has every Wednesday, basically, from the time I drop them off in the morning, Friday, and every other Saturday. So I live upstairs in a master bedroom, master bathroom, and all that's like my area. No, they're like, it just literally is like a hotel. It's like just my hotel. Nobody, in 3 years, we don't even talk. We got restraining order. We can't be within each 5 feet within the same house from each other. So we don't talk to each other. I haven't talked to her. I haven't physically said words to her other than being in court and talking to a judge. We don't talk for 3 years. And her counterparts, her sister and the other person, I don't talk to them either. And we're raising 3 little girls in between all of this madness. And so on my days, the girls come, I usually go to the kitchen, stuff like that, but they've made it to where they locked off I can't wash the clothes. They made it to where I can't use the washroom. They make it to where I would have food in the kitchen. They would throw it away. They would do all this kind of stuff to make me leave. Just really, really bad stuff to make me leave. I would report it to them. In fact, Carlsbad Police Department would get so upset with me by saying, like they're mad at me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's not my fault. I'm doing the only thing the system has left me to do. I can only call you. I can't get active. I can't take action. I can call you and report it. And by God, that's what I'm going to do. If they do something, so that's the thing. Every violation, if you notice, it's on my day because she only violates on my day. Because when she has the girls, I don't go mess with her. I don't go bother her. I don't try to give tasks to the girls. If I see them passing through the house, I say, hey, I love them, hey, hi, and wave, away, blow them a kiss, whatever, keep it moving. But when I have the girls on my days, she comes talk to me. She comes interfere. She comes try and tell the girls stuff what to do. She makes it real confusing for the girls, where they're like, one of my oldest is in therapy right now because she's like really confused about all the whole situation right now. We go out in public on my day. She literally, like if I wear the volleyball game and it's my day and I'm rooting on my girl and we're at and then she comes in. Mind you, we have DVRO restraining order. You're not supposed to be in 100 yards next to me. She comes up in front of everybody and just like she doesn't care. And I reported. So notice on her days for 3 years, there's no report of me doing anything because I don't do anything because I maintain. If we were living in separate houses on separate side of the town, you would naturally expect me to go to your house to do things, and I wouldn't expect you to come way over here so let's treat this situation like that as best as we can. But she knows the court has given her leeway. I've had situations where the officers would tell me we can't even enforce these orders. These are enforceable orders that the judge for a year and a half, the San Diego County had us living under orders that were unenforceable by the law enforcement. So what happens if the worst case scenario happens? I get stabbed. I bleed out. Oh, well, I mean, one officer tried to give me that scenario, like saying, well, if two people go into the woods and you both come out with bloody knives, pointing at who started it, what we're supposed to believe. I said, that is not an applicable situation to what I'm living. I get what you're saying. That's a straw man idea. You can keep that on your side, but that's not what I'm living because it's easy to tell on my day. He was like, how so? Because look at who's calling you on who days. She's never called you once on her days because when she got the girl, she's doing her thing. I don't bother her. But when I have the girls, she interferes. She stops me. So she's taking over. She has her parenting days and she takes over my parenting days. And if you see that pattern, you would see the problem.
Right.
But because I don't know if I'm not going to go as far as to say it's conspiratorial, you're working for the courts, but something's going on. You're very lenient. You're very lenient to her and you come down on me. It's like one time I remember the officer said, oh, we don't see her DVRO. All we just see is yours. So technically we'd have to take you to jail. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why would I be the one going to jail? I'm the one who called you guys. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know what? Maybe me going to jail might be the good thing because you guys are being able to keep this locked up in your family law little vault, doing this for 3 years. Criminal doesn't work like this. So maybe if I can turn this into a criminal case, we can get some different eyes on this. And I guarantee you this whole thing changes. That was my thought process. And I kind of told it to the officer in so many words. And he was like, well, I'm not taking you to jail. He quickly changed his mind. He was like, because I know how the system works. I know. And I've tried to, that's why I'm trying to push forward with all her cases where she's violated. I'm trying to push those to the max because I need this situation to stop. It's ruining I can deal with it. I've seen worse. I've been to war. I've seen worse. This is not war at all by any means. So I can wake up, I can survive this. But my girls, it's not fair to them.
No.
And it's not fair to future veterans who might have to go through this kind of stuff. And not just veterans. Anybody's getting any kind of benefits is sheriffs, it's police officers, it's firemen, it's the first responders. Anybody who's getting benefits that's protected. And then you have other people that's trying to steal those benefits for greed, for whatever reason. And then they get protection by the county the state to do it. Because at the end of the day, I think I when I went into the first person and I told them, hey, she doesn't have claims to this house. You could have researched that in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You could have put an argument together for that. And then this situation would have never been what it is right now. But I think the moment they were like, oh, we got, and like I mentioned, the house is a high value house. I think honestly, open market, they're trying to devalue it because they have a plan of trying to, screw me out of my equity. But I think personally, in the open market, the house would be worth $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've had it appraised at 2.8. I know we can get it to 3 million, but they've dropped it because they have agendas. They have other goals that they're trying to do, and one of them is to bankrupt me. And that's what the judge keeps saying. I'm not biased. I'm not prejudiced. However, every order, everything that you do, everything for 3 years, I literally got the desktop full of files, and I'm well organized, so that's why it's easy for me to recall all kind, everything. For 3 years, you guys have been doing very unnecessary stuff, wasting the tech. And this is another thing. In trial, a trial that we was not even supposed to have. The day before trial, we had a trial for the characterization of the house on the 27th and the 28th of July. On the day, 5 days before the 27th, the opposing party submitted to me 1,860 pages of documents, 5 days before trial. And I asked for a continuance. It was denied. I was expected to go through all of that stuff and know it and be ready for it. Mind you, I had things that I needed to submit. She didn't accept it. She didn't let me bring it in. So the whole procedures of court were done wrong. We technically were still in the evidentiary phase, and she was trying to push us to a trial. I brought all of this to highlight to the judge, and she's kind of like amazed that I'm doing this stuff. She's like, "Wow, like most people are not tracking." I'm like, "Cause you're really trying to screw me over, and I'm trying not to be screwed over. So I'm fighting real hard here. I have something to fight about." And she's sitting here telling me, "Well," and she makes a comment, "Mr. Simon, you're probably gonna go to appeal, probably appeal this, and you'll probably win on the appeal." She admits this. I literally I have a transcriber that's gonna be that can attest. She said her saying all of this stuff many a times. It's almost like she knows she's going to be appealed, but she just doesn't care because the process allows her to do what she's going to do in her court. And if it gets appealed, then oh well, she'll never know about it. She'll know about it, but it'll never really affect her. She get a slap on the wrist, and what? She gets to mess over the next veteran or the next couple people that comes through her courtroom. So yeah, it's been. I thought it was my hopes that this was going to be the last year.
Oh.
I was like, I hope this is the last year. Because like I said, she had this false trial on the 27th and 28th, and out of that is when she gave her tentative orders. And then, like I mentioned earlier, in her tentative order, she even told me, she was like, "Hey, send me these things to help prove your case." I sent her all those things, and then she sends her final orders. And in her final orders, she says, "Oh, I agree with you. Broadly speaking, a VA's veteran benefit is their own sole and separate property. However, because you retired, And I'm like, oh man, I didn't retire. And then, like I said, I did an ex parte to try to address it in front of her. She wouldn't let me do it. So I have a hearing, an exclusive use hearing that should all but change the situation if you just take into the account that I didn't retire.
Right.
That would literally change all your, and this is the crazy part about it. Her orders, as they stand, nobody could really follow them because they could only get the money if they sell the house. If they don't sell the house, which they don't want to do, they're not going to get the money. But the problem is they can't afford to refinance the house either.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, so the opposition, I learned a lot by watching the opposition, believe it or not. They informed me that the judge doesn't have power over a third party claimant. Mainly in this particular case, because she's only connected to the house because of the deed, which is not a necessary thing. But now that you've discovered that the house is not really The wife has no part to the house. It's purely the husband's sole separate property. And mind you, she signed an interspousal deed in 2017 saying that it was my sole and separate property. So the judge just ignored that altogether. So prenuptial things, interspousal deeds, all of that is just kind of ignored. This judge is what I'm told is called Rambo lawyering, where the lawyers just do what they want to do. You got rogue judges that help them out. I was taught, and my buddy in another place told me it was called home cooking, where the bailiffs and the clerks have little secret deals with the attorneys to help certain sides out and things of that nature. And I can see all of that taking place in my case right now. And it's captured. I captured it all. It's there. I like to think that one day to make a good novel or a good script or a good tell-all book, because nobody should be experiencing this, but yet and still I am, very unnecessarily. And the individuals brought it upon themselves. They should have sold the house. They should have, I get it. The house is a nice house. It's in Carlsbad, California. You can see the ocean from the balcony. It was all the reason why we bought the house. It was a really grand, investment property. But once things got sour and we all recognized that that's where it was going, instead of making the decision to try and make a veteran homeless, you should have made the decision to, sell the house, and we all could have walked away profitable, which is an unusual story in itself, because in situations like that, nobody ever wants to do that. And we had a chance to do that. Yeah. And they chose the route of trying to make me homeless.
Yeah. Wonder if someone is paying somebody off. Is this judge being paid off? Or, are the attorneys doing favors for this judge?
I think so. Like I said, in my experience, so I brought my case to the federal level right now, and I haven't gotten a response. I filed my case in the 16th of May. I served the county the 16th of June. They responded back to dismiss the case. They used several doctrines, like 5 or 6 doctrines. Basically, the gist of all the doctrines is low people like myself don't have the ability to sue the governments. We can't sue governments and things of that nature. However, you can in the case of fraud. Mm-hmm. That's the only time judges have immunity, governments have immunity. But in the case of fraud and corruption, those are avenues where you can do this. That's why my case is a 60D3, fraud upon the court at the federal level. And at that level, I have this case going. I had to do an injunctive relief just recently, and I'm waiting for a response to that, asking the court to stay all of my civil cases. I'm fighting several cases right now. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a appropriate litigant right now because I've been forced to be. But by trade, I would like to be making films. I went to film school. I would like to be doing that. I made one film and I had to stop because I had to start dealing with this. So, I would like to be doing that. And here we are. I'm fighting unnecessary battles. And I know that, like you said, this only happens when colluding minds get together to make it like this, because it's about case management. Mm-hmm. Yes, my attorneys, they bobbled it, because if they would have been more, hey, veteran said it's his sole and separate property, let us argue from that standpoint and see where we go. If we lose, we lose, but at least let's argue from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to do that. They were like, no, I don't know. No, that's not, and I was like, no. I'm like, what part of federal law? Here's the federal law. I gave him the federal law. This is law that existed before I was born. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what part of, so you must not want me taking advantage of this law, because obviously it's not the law. I feel like it's me now, because I'm like, the law, it's like, the law already existed, is what the law is. It just so happens to support me. And now you're trying to get me to leave my house, get me to go be home. And then where am I going to go? Where am I going to take my girls when I get my girls? Are you expecting for me not to get time with my girls either? So I don't have no place to take them. So I'm supposed to just set up a shop or set up a tent outside a highway somewhere. And that's where I'm supposed to take my girls on my custody day. Like, what are you guys trying to do to me? I can't go get houses because you trapped me in this situation. These are my attorneys. So those were the officers, the first officers of the court that I find, you know, them and then the first judge, Judge Woods, because he's the judge who allowed them to come back into the house. Had you addressed everything at that point, we wouldn't have this situation now. You allowed them to come back to this house and then gave everybody the elements to be in this situation. Gave me a DVRO, wouldn't let me hear my DVRO. I did a hearing to try to unadjoin the third party. You denied it. And then I took that to the appellate court. The appellate court said they dismissed it because the orders were not final. Well, then what do you do when the appellate court judge says the orders are not final, but then the judge who wrote the orders are saying they're final? Who do the average person go argue that battle out with when that happens? When you got two judiciary officials arguing about a case with you involved, but they're like, it's just stalls. One says it's a final order, the other one says it's not. And I'm like, well, if it's a final order, then I should be able to appeal it. They don't want to. So now I'm stuck in purgatory to live like this forever. Is that nobody would figure this out? Is that nobody would uncover what the system is doing to people? And there you have it. That's one of the things that we noticed. And so I just learned to get better at this point. I don't have to get better at anything. I see what they're doing. Everything is already uncovered, is already done. So I know it's them talking. I know it's secret notes being passed in family court that could stay within family court, that the bailiffs can see, that the clerks can see, and whoever else the judges see. And it goes from judge to judge and how to treat a person. They tried to say that I'm a vexatious litigant because I got multiple lawsuits going on. Well, and actually, this is the thing. I know all about vexatious litigants. I'm not a vexatious litigant. Couldn't be. I only have you brought the divorce against me. The only lawsuit I have is the lawsuit against the attorneys, the lawsuit for which is the partition action for the house, and I had to do the federal lawsuit. So those are the only 3 lawsuits that I did. And all of those were necessary for me to get out of my situation. You guys have been blocking at every turn, not addressing at every turn, stalling at every turn, trying to continue at every turn. So now we're at a point where the attorney who represents the third party was only supposed to represent the third party for the house situation. Now she represents all the parties in the divorce situation.
That's a conflict of complete interest.
Her original attorney quit. I brought that up to the judge. She ignored it. She said, I don't care. It doesn't matter in my courtroom. Once again, the discretion. She has high discretion. You could do anything in a United States courtroom now. Literally anything. You have to beat it on the appeal because they know they can say whatever they want. And they know most people don't have the time and the money and the finances, the resources and the energy and a bunch of other things to fight it. So they end up winning. But they know if you can just get them on the appeal, make them prove their argument in law, what in law says it was okay for you to allow them back into the house? What in law says it's okay for you to join this person to the marriage, even though the custody of kids are not even in play for it? And worse, and then their own attorney, opposing attorney, she says, I've never seen a case in 30 years where a judge can make a decision for a third party claimant. That was the opposing counsel saying that. She said she's never seen that. And the judge literally said himself, I don't have the power to do, because they tried to do an exclusive use earlier. And the judge said, I don't have the power under the DPVA to do an exclusive use act. And here it is, this second judge lets them do it without them filing a motion. They didn't even file a motion on her own behalf. Without them filing a motion, she allowed them to bring up the same issue that was already, which is double jeopardy, that was already tried, just to try to have me kicked out the house this time. They're just trying to fastball me to being put out my house. What is the purpose of trying to put out a veteran? He's already made his arguments. All the arguments are clear. There's nothing, the court has already agreed with me. At this point, the federal case is kind of already proven, because I've proven at the federal level that all I asked for at the federal level, my fraud upon the court case was this. It was this simple. All I'm asking is for the San Diego County to not violate my civil rights, to change jurisdictions, change the jurisdiction because they've become prejudiced, biased, they're adversarial, change the jurisdiction to a neighboring county so we can finish the case, because right now, you guys are rogue and you're just making all kind, and it's not fair. So I'm asking the federal government to to set aside my DVRO because it doesn't exist in real life. You can't find it on paper, and you won't even give me a chance to hear it to even give you the arguments behind it. So I shouldn't have a DVRO, and to change the jurisdiction. That is the only answer that I asked for at the federal level. And I still haven't gotten a response. It'd been different if you would have been like, I could see if I was asking for, hey, you owe me $2 million for pain and suffering and punitive damages and all this kind of stuff. All I asked was for you to change jurisdictions and to drop my DVRO. And they said, no, we need the San Diego County courts is arguing that the case needs to be dismissed because civilians cannot go against governments. But I'm like, you're not addressing the whole purpose of this motion, the fraud upon the court. I clearly am proving fraud. Just because you don't want to hear me address the fraud, or you don't want to hear me talk about the fraud, you can't say I'm not, I literally prove fraud. What's more fraud than every American has the civil right to judge and jury? You denied me that. You literally gave me a characterization, a charge essentially, and you won't even let me explain the charge. You won't even let the accuser. You denied all of the stuff that go the due process with that. You won't even let me hear it. I did a motion for them to hear it. They denied it. I did an ex parte to shorten time. They denied it. I did a writ to raise some money, because they don't even have to address to you why they could deny a writ. They could just deny the writ, and you just wasted all your money on doing the writ. I did a writ, it was denied. And it's literally like, so you're denying me to even prove to you that I shouldn't even have this charge. So with that, that's crazy right there. That is unbelievable. You want to know a hidden thing that I haven't really been saying or speaking about, but I feel like on top of the fraud and corruption, I'm being falsely imprisoned within my own home. I wanted to sell. I asked you to get them to refinance for 3 years. They've been not doing it for a long time. It only takes 15 minutes to refinance. Here we are, and they still haven't refinanced. Now their goal is to tell people they can't refinance because I'm stopping them. Like all of a sudden, I just switched positions. I went for trying to get them to refinance for 2.5 years. Then all of a sudden, on the second part of that third year, I decided to stop them. No, that makes no sense, at all. I've been trying to get you to refinance. You don't want to refinance. You don't want to sell the house. So what does that mean? Where can I go? I have a DVRO that I shouldn't have. It keeps me from buying, renting. So the only place I can go is to the streets. So it's either go to the streets or stay in the situation that I'm in right now. Like I said, I much prefer to stay in the situation that I'm in right now because I have 3 little girls that live here. And we have a wonderful relationship. They try in the beginning to make it seem like I was the crazy PTSD person. I was screaming, I was yelling, I was mad, and I got the play behind it. I see why a lot of people would use that and it would normally work. And if you got guys, fitting that temperament, then yeah, you're going to get billed with that. That's all day long. But that's never been me. That's never been my temperament. That's not me. That's not who I am. I'm not screaming. I'm not going crazy. I'm not getting all loud. I watch them do those same things. My ex-wife beat up my mom, which is part of the reason why she received the DVRO. She assaulted my mom. My mom is 66 years old. She has lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. My mom is a veteran. She was in the Army. She was an Army nurse for 20 years. She beat up my mom. She gave my mom a black eye. I got pictures. She gave my mom bruises, scuffs, everything. Everything. When my mom came into the room on a day, I was upstairs shaving, And all of a sudden I heard a loud noise, and I leave out my bathroom and I come into my bedroom area, and my mom comes through the threshold of my door and she collapsed on my couch and she face is bloody, eyes puffy.
Oh.
And immediately I'm like, I watch a lot of television, so I'm like, what the, I'm like, what is going on? She's like, Nora, she beat me up. She tried to kick me out the house. What I forgot to mention is, so we bought the house in 2017. We refinanced the house in 2021. One of many refinances, but at that time in 2021, my wife at that time, she got put on the deed in March. Then April, she dropped the divorce papers. May, June, she started a campaign of domestic violence. She beat up my mom. She took my door off my hinges. They was blowing smoke into my room, sage into my room, literally. Like they were doing seances, trying to have me put out my room. They would gather on the balcony and on the other side of my door, and it was like it was crazy. Like really, 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 really crazy. I got video of it. Nobody cares. I showed the police department. Well, I can't say that nobody cares because they did get DVROs for this. So somebody cared enough to at least give them that. So they got DVROs, and but it didn't stop them. It didn't stop the violations. It didn't stop. Like I said, I got 11 incidences after that. That was after that happened before. I got 11 incident numbers after that with them doing stuff. And like I said, it's crazy. And so they have done the most. And it seems like the courts somebody's talking to somebody. This is not a situation where we're accidentally here. Oh, we got here because we didn't understand arguments. We didn't get this. No, you understand everything at this point. I think you just purposely want us to be in this situation right here. We are a social experiment. Mind you, not a lot of people of color in the San Diego area, North County, San Diego area, Vista area where we're at. And every time I go in the courthouse, I don't see anybody that's, in my complexion, and we're literally the only family in our neighborhood of this complexion. So I could easily see as being a social experiment for the county in some kind of way. And I've reached out to over 400 attorneys in the San Diego area, all the way down from Chula Vista, all the way to Orange County, Riverside County. And I can tell you, everybody tells me, you need to find an attorney. There's not an attorney to help me with this case. When I wanted attorneys, they tried to either take money from me, which is why I'm got to sue them now. They try to put me in a worse position than what I'm in right now. Try to tell me to leave, mismanage the case. And then when I wanted people to talk to help guide for strategy or whatever, a lot of them are like, they automatically are like, no, you're wrong. VA disability is not community property. I think you're not reading it right. Like, so all of a sudden my reading skills is tested. I don't know what I'm reading anymore and stuff. I'm like, this is federal law. I didn't write it. It's like, why can't you believe that I didn't write this federal law? It is what it is. So, and it's like, I get it. You just don't want to see me come out in this situation on top. That's what it is at this point. And I'm not trying to make it a personal thing, because I understand people don't gravitate. When you make issues personal, sometimes people don't really gravitate. You got to try to touch them and meet them on their level. And honestly, that's why I said for day one, this situation is not about me. I think I'm fortunate. It's a lot of other people who are not fortunate, who don't have the time to sit and read the cases and go through it and strategize, and didn't have the background and training to do these things that I have right now to do this. And they're in similar situations, close situations, loosely. Some situations might be spot on. And so it's not about me. It's about the people. It's about veterans. It's about all the people that depend on their VA, some kind of disability. All the people that worked hard their life for retirements and things of that nature, even though I didn't retire, but it's the same concept. And, when somebody's attacking it, I get all of that. And then, but at this point, I really feel like people need to understand what's really going on in the court systems, specifically the family court system, because everybody's lives is touched by the court system, civil probate, bankruptcy, criminal, family. What is family? Family is husband, wife, custody of kids. That's basically the jurisdiction of family law. They try to have more than that. My case is the obvious case where they're trying to have more. Because if you think about it, if it's about husband, wife, custody, and kids, well, the house has nothing to do with that. But the courts don't seem to be caring about that. They're trying to argue the house. So if we're talking about family law system, the family courts and what's going on, why hasn't the minors council stepped up on behalf of the kids and said, hey, this is a bad situation. I need to remove the kids. She didn't do that. In fact, I ask the kids every time they're on my days, when the last time you talked to the minors council? It was like over a year ago. So basically they get a paycheck for doing nothing. So you get a paycheck for not even really helping my kids through this situation. And then you have the nerve to be like, I need to be the one to move for the betterment of the kids. Why you don't tell that to the mother who put them in the situation? I get it, men, California traditional. I get all of that too, but at some point you can't live in a society where you're trying to be like we're treated equal, everybody's treated equal, but then you're still trying to hold on to the archaic thought process that a man's place is to do this and the one. Like you can't have it both ways, you know. And in my case, I feel like they've tried to exercise that, but I know I'm hopeful that I might have a little bit more success at the appellate level this time around, because now they can't argue that it's not final orders. So you can't dismiss it off of being not final orders. You have to address it. And honestly, it's fraud, waste and abuse to even have this appellate court situation going on right now, because what are you really addressing? There's no law involved in telling me that I didn't retire. You literally said I retired. I'm going to show you some documents that prove that I haven't retired. That's not a law. That's not nothing to be argued about. That's not an error. And you call it an error in judgment or whatever, but we shouldn't have to waste your time and your effort to put this on the docket to have to discuss this when the judge could have been like from day one, oh, sorry, Mr. Simon. They said you retired. I see here you didn't retire. You are right. This is right. This is 50% you, 50% you. Sorry, I don't have jurisdiction over the house. You two go in the civil court if you want that answer. Everybody could be done with. But they're not doing it. They're keeping it like this for a reason. And why? What's going on? What's the sin in the means? I feel like because the house, I'm pretty sure there's other houses that are worth $3 million, if not more, in this area. Why target me? Why am I the target? And then why are you doing it from the shadows? Who is it the judge? Is it Judge Woods, the first judge? Because he has a part to play. He gave me the DVRO that shouldn't exist. He allowed them back into the house. He joined the person to the case. So he has a big part in this. But then it was another judge that came in after him, and she kept going on with the madness. And then they sent me to another judge, the judge who was trying all the cases downtown on the wheel. And that judge is the one, and all of the judges are refusing to believe that they're part of the federal lawsuit. So they're acting like they're not adversaries when I've identified to them that they all are adversaries. So it's like at this point, I feel like I'm starting to expose a lot of things in the system, and not just the ancillary things. Like it's a lot of crusaders that say they speak out for not just veterans, but they speak out for people going through situations like these. And then when you call them, they don't call you back. They ain't there. They're too busy to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, some of them I think kind of might work for the county and the state to stop people like me from trying to reach other masses of people. Because it's like, if you're truly about change and betterment and helping people, why are you not calling me? Why are you not giving me a call back? And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I've reached out to a number of people that have cases at the federal level. I can't get a return call back. And I'm thinking like, wow, I know my case is what it is. And if your case is what it is, we could synergize on something, maybe not a class action lawsuit, but just the meeting of the minds to have a better understanding of what is going on in our situations and how we can combat it better. But I feel like you're trying to figure out a way to not do that or to not help me. Because like I'm at the federal level now. And like I said, I filed my thing in March. I'm sorry, my first thing in May. So from May of 2023 till now, we have 18 items on the docket, but I don't really know what's going on at the federal court level. I talked to an appellate attorney yesterday, her best advice was for me to find an attorney who specifically deals with VA characterization of the house, who deals with all the stuff that in my case. And really, I'm thinking to myself, honestly, that's not why I hit you up on the email. I don't really need that because I've gotten this far by myself as a pro per litigant. You know, they're not going to tell me anything that I haven't researched myself. They're not going to bring anything new to the table. And it was more like I get it. I just don't want to help you. Instead of just saying I don't want to help you, they'll give you all kind of other fillers and I got that from like a lot of attorneys. Like, believe it or not, like YouTube, like Googling. You know, call me if you need help with such and such and such. You call them people, and they're like, nowhere to be found. Oh, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
So I get it, and it just makes me like, I hope my story can help somebody else out, you know, and because I know I'm not the only one going through something like this. I have a lot of buddies who just chose to walk away. It was easier for them to walk away. And I get it. I don't judge anybody. I totally get it. It just wasn't easy for me. Me walking away was death for me. Literally, that was you telling me to go die. You know what I'm saying? And you
have a
being
lot
nice
at
about
stake.
it.
You've got way too much at stake.
And I just couldn't just go die about it. I'm not gonna go off and die. You know what I'm saying? I could have did that in Iraq. You know, I could have just stayed, you know, just died in Iraq if that was the case. But I was like, no, I'm a fighter. And you're not about to just, especially when I know my cause is just. Now, and don't get me wrong, there's some people that go through the system and the judges are right about their situation. The judge made the right call. That person was a dirtbag. That person didn't do what they were supposed to do. That person was violent. That person was all those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying everybody is good. I'm not saying the judges always make the wrong decisions 100% of the time. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying there are cases where where the judge doing what they're doing is violating a law or not, it's not legal or lawful. They have the discretion to do it. Yes, nobody's arguing that. But it's not a legal or lawful thing that they're doing. And it's up to the people, us, to be able to show them that and prove them that. Because the system is designed for us to represent ourselves. What I find is they don't want you to represent yourself. They laugh at me. I've been laughed at. Oh, you represent yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but the actual system is designed so we can represent ourselves. So what does that mean when the system is designed for us to represent ourselves, but the players in the system laugh at us for doing that? That means there's a fraction in there that knows something that they don't want the rest of us to know. That knows that we can possibly do something, change something, and they don't want to ever come to that light of us being able to do these things that could have this whole movement happen and they lose control of it. I get it. Trust me. I totally get it. But the problem is you got to do your homework. You can't mess over everybody. And you mess over the wrong people, you're going to have situations like this. You know what I'm saying? You probably messed over 10 guys before like me, and you thought you got away with it 10 times. And then you tried it with me, and now we're here. You know, because I'm not going to let you get away with it. I'm going to fight it till I can't fight no more because I didn't do anything wrong. Right. And that's why I say in the write-up, I'm not a criminal. I don't have any criminal charges. You're treating me like a criminal. You're literally treating me like a criminal. How does my divorce go from, okay, this person wants to separate from you because you guys no longer, for whatever reason, have a romantic connection or have that connection? Great. So it goes from that till now we got to take everything from this guy, put him on the street, make him homeless and bankrupt, take his children away from him and do all of this kind of stuff. Why? Criminals don't really deserve that. So why are you doing that to me? What did I do but fight for myself? I did what the country taught me to do. I went to public schools. I went, you know what I'm saying? So I went to college and everything. I got degrees and stuff, but I've done what the country trained us to do as Americans, to be fighters, to be warriors. And here I am doing that for myself. And the legal system is trying to get me to not do it. I've beaten every attorney that I've went against. I used to have attorneys in high regard. Oh no, not now. Not what I know now. What I know now, oh, it's just like anything else. You got good people that do good things. You got bad people that do, and just a lot of bad people in that field. A lot of people. It's not hard to get a degree. You just got to be patient. If you know, just pass the LSAT,
Mhm.
you could get an online degree now. You know what I'm saying? Go to school 2-3 years. You know, boop de boop, pass the bar, and now you can practice. And now you can cause damage in somebody's life.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happens. And my first attorney have done it. My second attorney have done it. My first attorney, I fired him. He turned around and sued me.
Mm.
And while I was knee deep into the mess that he caused, he beat me on default because I was too busy focusing on my divorce that he messed up to challenge him in his battle against me.
Mhm.
That's what I'm dealing with. So I'm a pro litigant. I'm getting attacked from all sides, and I'm battling and I'm seeing what's going on and I'm learning. And like I said, I do have people in the showers that are helping me, friends, you know, that come through, give me advice or whatever. Not a lot at all. And it's maddening because it's people that claim to want to help you in these things, different organizations, and you call these organizations and you can't get them on the line. And I get it. Going through these situations will make you bitter. It will
Mhm.
make you upset. It will make you emotional. It's hard to not make it personal when you're going through a very personal situation. You know, that's just a given. But you know, it's those times for me where I'm like, you know, you just got to learn the system and then beat them at their own game. And however I could help other people with my story, you know, I'm glad to do so. I'm hoping that my story can come to a good resolve for me. But as it stands right now, if it's allowed to keep going, this judge, she's trying to bankruptcy, you know, per her orders. It's kind of crazy because her orders bankrupt me, but at the same time, it agrees with me. Her order says, yeah, veterans' disability is not community property. And normally you would be right, however, you retired. But okay, I didn't retire, so normally I'm right. So your order shouldn't exist. But she's not doing that. She's like, nah, I'm gonna keep my orders here and force you to fight me using the people's money, taxpayers' money at another level. And talk about fraud, waste, and abuse. There we go, unnecessarily again. And when you could just
Exactly.
make the right decision.
You know, I was going to ask you, I'd like to have you back on again with updates to your case.
Okay, no
And
problem.
I was going to also ask you, like, how, if anyone has any questions about your case, how can they contact you?
Well, I can be, my email address is Phillip, PHILLIP, Simon, SIMON, 5 6 at gmail.com. And y'all could be emailed there. If if it's important, we'll go from there. I'll get you your number from there, and we'll exchange numbers or whatever. We can go from there. But I like that to be the first filtering place. So Phillip Simon 56 gmail.com.
Hey, don't jump off, okay?
Okay.
Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth, and recently released Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple iTunes, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, and feel free to buy me a cup of coffee to keep the podcast going. Thank you so much, Phillip. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.